What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Renegade Jukebox on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be your host for this evening, and joining me, as always, we've got Nick.
If this is how we live, then this is how we die.
Hell yeah.
I had to do that.
Of course. For those who don't know, this is part 6 of our Machine Head retrospective. And we are finally getting to one of my favorite records, not just of the band, but like of the past 20 years of metal, the Blackening. This is an album that has a lot of importance to the band, sure, but 2007 is kind of one of the most important years in my life in terms of how I became a metalhead and how I really just fell in love with this genre. So Nick, tell me a little bit about your 2007.
One of the worst goddamn years of my life. But really, we were talking about this when we got done talking about Through the Ashes of Empires. Like, as bad as that kind of period in my life was, considering I didn't hear the Blackening when it came out. I didn't get into Machine Head until about maybe late 2010, early 2011. But I had always heard the name rolling around, and Beautiful Morning being on Guitar Hero Metallica. But yeah, my thing, just I'm just going to cut into the meat of this for everybody. I really think the best way we can approach this is look, we can't really say anything new that hasn't been said in this conversation. Everybody knows this album is a 5 out of 5.
Oh,
period.
Without question.
Every song on this album, 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, classic album. Honestly, if I was asked by somebody, hey, what's the first heavy metal album I should listen to? I'd give them Master of Puppets by Metallica and this.
Yeah. This album really just stands on the shoulders of all the giants in the entire history of the genre. So you could put this right next to Master of Puppets, Peace of Mind, The Number and the Beast,
Rain and Blood.
Pretty much all the classics.
Yet at the same time, this album isn't Hail to the King by Avenged Sevenfold, where it just sounds derivative of every classic metal record that we all know and love.
No, instead it's just a really good album, and probably Machine Head's it's just them firing on all cylinders on every track, starting with a great 10-minute opener, Clenching the Fists of Dissent,
which complete opposite. I know Master of Puppets was the album they were kind of aiming to somewhat capture recording this, but man, this is more just And Justice for All. Let's open with the longest song we possibly can and just kick your ass the entire time.
Yeah, pretty much.
And like I said, with Through the Ashes of Empires, this is the album that really is kind of just hinted at on a song on a masterful song like Seasons Wither, I should say. But that's the thing. Phil Demmel gets to contribute more. It really feels like the band is just writing as one unit, and that just kind of adds to the authenticity of the music, the lyrics. It just adds to that, urgency listening to this.
Mm-hmm. I noticed only one track on here, which we'll get to later, does not have Demel given a music credit, but he's on like the rest of the album.
Pretty much everybody in this band contributes in some shape or form, and that's the thing with Clenching the Fists of Dissent. It's also not a 10-minute song opening your album should be boring. This does not bore you.
Nope.
Like, there's clear identifiable parts that make it engaging, from that open note bass line introducing everything, to Rob's vocals sounding like it's coming through a radio, to that badass riff that just sounds straight off of an 80s thrash album without sounding derivative of 80s thrash. And really, it is kind of just like you take the best of what made thrash in the 80s and early 90s great, give it modern influences and production, and you have the rest of the songs on this record.
Yeah, that's the thing about this record. It's a classic in terms of the way it's written, but it definitely feels, I don't want to say it feels like a product of its time, but it does, and it's also not dated either.
Yeah, because it's definitely in that period of the new wave of American heavy metal, but at the same time, it doesn't sound like a metalcore record. It does, for me, even though I throw Machine Head in the groove metal category, I just almost am tempted to just call this album an encapsulation of what metal is.
I think that's fair. I would personally consider this a little bit more of a thrash metal record than groove metal, but the groove is still there.
Yeah, that good point, because this is like the most thrash of any Machine Head record.
And I think you hear that a lot in like in the next track, Beautiful Morning. Like, it starts off a little bit slower, so that's where you get the groove elements, but towards the end it gets more into that thrashy direction.
But at the same time, it also has like that really melodic section of This Lifetime's Not Over. Like, that part, just every section of these songs just flows perfectly into the next. For me, it never stops sounding heavy, but at the same time, it's, how am I going to put this? It's heavy enough to appease people like me and Mike, who listen to bands like Lamb of God, Machine Head, Shadows Fall, Killswitch, Slipknot, In Flames, Unearth. But, it could win over the type that hasn't really heard a metal record since like 1989. Like, it has that kind of it factor going for it, where it can bring in one sect of metalheads and then bring in another that's into the new wave of American heavy metal type stuff like us.
Yeah, so basically, if you make that into like a Venn diagram, this album is pretty much right in the middle.
Also, did you play Guitar Hero Metallica? Because this song was fucking tough, even on easy.
I don't remember playing this track specifically, but yeah, I used to either buy or rent like all of the like the spin-off games like Metallica, Green Day, and then the Beatles Rock Band. That was a very unique time in video games.
Yeah.
Back when like rhythm games were like that was like the big fad back in that day.
Yeah, and we didn't really talk about the lyrics either, but like that's the other thing that makes the Blackening great too, is just that the lyrical content, it really is kind of the perfect blend of like Machine Head's either more personal side or the more political side of things, because like Clenching the Fists of Dissent is clearly a song about warfare and death and politics, but then you jump straight into Beautiful Morning, which is a song about Rob wanting to commit suicide, yet it's not jarring either.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing should make you feel jarred and pissed off, and I have a bit of a story about this. Mike, I'll let you have the floor, and then I'll take over.
Okay, so the one song I mentioned that Demel does not have a music credit is the first single, and really the first of the 2 6 out of 5 tracks.
Oh, yes.
This is Aesthetics of Hate, which basically is a song that pays tribute to Dimebag Darrell, but specifically is a song addressing an article that praised the murder of Dimebag Darrell, which
some right-wing shithead named William Grimm literally wrote an article called Aesthetics of Hate and told Dimebag that he was said that Dimebag was more simian than human and some other bullshit like that.
And I don't know about you guys, but in this household, we have a zero tolerance policy against Dimebag slander.
Which, before we talk about just how great the music is, I literally dealt with a teacher who said some bullshit about Dimebag in my last year of high school. So, Mike, I'm just gonna jump right into this one. I'm not even gonna tear the Band-Aid off. I'm just gonna be like, no, let's fucking go. Basically, I was in a drama class, and it was kind of easy school credit because honestly, most of it was just watching either the popular kids talk or, occasionally maybe acting out of scene, maybe. So what happened was, I think it was like the Grammys had just happened, and I said I don't remember exactly what I said because it's been like 10 years since this happened, but literally, I think I said something to the effect of, why doesn't the Grammys do some tribute to, like, somebody like Dimebag from Pantera? And like, I was known as the metal kid, like even when I was still in the new metal phase that I was in, but at the same time I was getting into more bands like In Flames, Death, Machine Head, etc. Like, people knew I love Pantera, but literally what this teacher said to my face was, nobody knows who Dimebag Darrell is and nobody cares.
Ouch.
And I was fucking livid. They would try to cut me off, but I literally said something to the effect of, because Vinnie Paul was still alive at this point, I literally said, I fucking dare you to say that to Vinnie Paul's face, his brother. I dare you to say that to Phil Anselmo's face. I dare you to say that to fucking Rex Brown's face. Now, that's just a douchey thing to me, to badmouth somebody who literally made thousands of people like me pick up a guitar for the first time and want to get better. And Aesthetics of Hate, I wanted to learn this song on guitar. So, like, in my own weird way in high school, I'd be getting back at them for bad-mouthing Dimebag like that, because holy shit, this song is guitar solo central.
Oh, yeah. Which is actually kind of why I'm surprised that Demel doesn't have a credit on this, because the solos in this track are like amazing.
From what I gather, so I don't know if you know this, Mike, but Rob's guitar solo on this is actually played on a dime bolt that Dimebag gave to Rob on Ozfest back in like 1997.
Oh, wow. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, the shit thing was he actually had somebody break into his house and steal it from him.
Oh,
Yeah, and he wouldn't get it back until I believe 2017 maybe. But yeah, he played the solo to Aesthetics of Hate on a dime bolt, and I think Phil Demmel did his part of the solo on our Randy Rhoads model Jackson. So it really is kind of like one huge tribute to how great Dimebag and Randy Rhoads are, while being like one huge fuck you to this douchebag who thankfully has fallen off the face of the earth.
yeah, thank God for that.
As for the rest of the song, everybody in this band is just, god damn it, from that cleanly played opening riff to the thrash parts to even that guitar squeal that just rings out for the last 45 seconds or so. Yeah, this song's a 6 out of 5. It's a masterpiece.
It really is. And before we continue, I just want to point out just how great pretty much all these singles are. I think Roadrunner chose the best songs that kind of like represent the album as a whole, especially the next track, which we kind of consider the anti-radio track, Now I Lay Thee Down. This is
as I like to call it, the anti-Valentine's Day song.
Okay, that's perfect. Basically, this is as close to a ballad as the band is going to get without actually crossing that threshold.
Yeah, it, from what I gather based off of like studio stories, it sounds like the song originally had like a catchier hook to it, but their attitude was, look, our influences on this album are Master of Puppets by Metallica, Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden, and A Farewell to Kings by Rush. So let's just say fuck the mainstream and let's just make the song even less radio friendly than it already kind of is, because it basically is just kind of a Romeo and Juliet type lyrical content song. And then yeah, as for the music itself, like, goddamn, Phil Demmel's solo is so good. Like, his solo really to me is reminiscent of like the first two Ozzy records here.
Oh yeah, I love all the instrumentals on this track, but I think I especially love Adam Duce just grooving away.
Yeah, like I don't know if it's him picking or if he's doing like some like low-key tapping while he's plucking. I'm not sure the technique he's using on it, but like it makes the chorus kind of almost dreamlike in its own weird way.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah, and then just like it, don't get us wrong, like as much as we're mentioning like the song being like radio friendly for this album, this song does not stop in terms of being like heavy as all fucking hell, especially when it gets to that was it love, was it murder part of the song.
Yeah, the thing about the song is that more so than even like the big like 10-minute epics, this song really does a good job of showing the band's range. Like, they can play the more melodic kind of radio friendly style, and yet on the same track they can still lean heavy into like the thrashier elements.
Yeah, it just, when you really think about it, this album could basically be like an album that goes on a tape. Like, you could have it be like the way Master of Puppets goes, Battery, Master of Puppets, The Thing That Should Not Be, Sanitarium. You have to flip the tape, then you go into Disposable Heroes, Leper Messiah, Orion, and Damage Incorporated. Like, you could do this with the Blackening and it'd make total sense.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think eight tracks is like well, they used to have these things called 8 tracks. So but yeah, this is kind of perfect for that sort of presentation.
Which now we got to talk about more right-wing shitheads, unfortunately, especially in terms of the lyrics on the next track, which was apparently one of the first songs written for the album.
Huh, how fitting, because Slanderous might have actually been the first Machine Head song I've ever listened to.
Which is surprising because I don't think this would have gotten away as a single, especially with, yes, Rob does use certain slurs on this song, but they're used to make a point. They're not used for like, you know, the way the douchebags in Attila would use the other F word just to get attention on Metal Injection. No, Rob's clearly trying to actually make a point about racism and bigotry.
Yep.
And that's kind of all I have to say about the lyrical content on this, just because the rest of the music kicks ass. What can I say? Yeah, the shorter songs are the ones that apparently were written first.
I guess that kind of makes sense. Like, get those songs kind of out of the way so you can spend more time sort of developing the epics.
Yeah, because apparently they had no idea that, you know, Clenching the Fists of Dissent or Halo or A Farewell to Arms, they had no idea that these songs were going to be, you know, almost 11 minutes, 10 minutes, 9 minutes. But no, Slanderous just kind of continues the momentum of the album. Like, even though I use that whole analogy of this could be the perfect album to go on a tape, it still keeps that heavy momentum going and doesn't let off the gas pedal.
Yeah, there are like a few slow moments where it's like Rob, Phil, and Adam like kind of harmonizing in a few spots, but the song as a whole still is pretty consistently heavy throughout.
So we've got to talk about the next 6 out of 5 song. The one the band actually said before the album came out, they weren't even sure if they were going to play it live. And now it's considered one of the best goddamn songs they've ever written. Halo.
Hell yeah.
Oh man.
Before we continue, I should probably mention, don't try to listen to this through the music video.
Yeah, no, don't look up the music video. It cuts out all the best goddamn parts of the song. Like, it's all, you literally have to experience this song with good headphones and listen to the whole 9 minutes. It's metal perfected. And
yeah,
I feel comfortable saying that because holy shit, is everybody in this band just, again, they're just locked in with each other. They're playing perfectly. Like, we haven't really talked about how great Dave is on this album yet, but like Dave's double kick is just keeps the intensity up, even like during the more melodic sections. Phil and Rob's trade-off with the, you know, the chorus harmonies, and then Adam doing the vocal harmonies with Rob. Like, yeah, those guitars should sound thin, but they don't. They sound almost, I don't want to say like it could get away in being an arena, but yeah, it almost could in its own way. I mean, Metallica get away with playing like 8 or 9 minute songs in arenas all the time, so I don't see how this couldn't work in that setting.
Oh no, if Metallica can do it, so can Machine Head.
Which, for the record, I forgot to mention this when talking about Aesthetics of Hate. Apparently, James Hetfield loves this album, like loves this album so much so that he wanted to bring Machine Head out when Death Magnetic came out and they were touring behind that. He wanted them to open for Metallica, and James was jamming on some drums in one of the jam rooms that they have, and the band walks in and they invite James to play Aesthetics of Hate on stage.
Oh, these are the kind of stories I love, when like great bands kind of recognize other great bands.
Yeah, and just getting back into Halo, like I was mentioning earlier, this doesn't go to like Avenged Sevenfold, Hail to the King territory where, yeah, this just sounds like an 80s Iron Maiden song. No, this really does sound like you took an Iron Maiden song, you took what was going on with the new wave of American heavy metal with the harmonized guitars and the growled vocals and the clean vocals for that matter. You just throw them in a blender and it's just perfect.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, none of the songs on this album sound derivative. They sound they sound like a well balanced like a well balanced dish of like all these different influences.
Actually, to use a good food analogy, the best way I'd describe it, because honestly, chili's probably my favorite food. This is like the best bowl of chili you could have, with the meat, the beans, the juices, the peppers, the spices. Everything's just like perfectly balanced. And man, even just that clean part, the "and I won't pray for you" section, it just goes flawlessly back into the chorus, goes perfectly back into that drum section, and then just punches you in the face for the last minute. And man, this song is almost so good it could be an album closer.
But we still have a few more tracks, not including the bonus tracks, which we do need to bring up this time.
Oh, yes.
So track number 7 is Wolves, and yeah,
it's riff salad.
It is riff salad, but riff salad with this band is actually really delicious. And this song has like at least 3 or 4 awesome riffs.
I'd say more than 3 or 4 riffs. I'd say this is almost like, okay, what if you got Eddie Van Halen to play with Alex Skolnick from Testament and then just threw them in a room to make a band, and then maybe got Chuck Schuldiner from Death in the picture? And then, wow, you would come away with a song like Wolves.
That's like, yeah, that is a perfect analogy.
Like, even for a less either political or personal or storytelling based song, going back to more Machine Head's like "We'll Conquer All" type lyrics, yeah, this song never comes off as stupid to me. It just is like, I think this would be the perfect song to like go to the gym to and go for like a 10-minute run.
And it's another one of their longer songs too, which again, we've talked about this before, how Machine Head knows how to engage the listeners in ways that like other bands don't really have that capability.
Yeah, that's the main thing too, is that Machine Head really do embrace their embracing of prog really does help this album to just kind of bring in different crowds in the world of metal. Like it's clearly bringing in the 80s thrash crowd. It's bringing in the people who are hooked on like Burn My Eyes and The More Things Change. And then you're bringing in the people who are huge into like Killswitch Engage, Trivium, Devil Driver. Throw that all in a blender and then bam, Wolves is a thing.
Yep.
We really do get to the perfect closer, which I kind of made dead giveaway with that intro. A Farewell to Arms, the only way this album can be closed out with.
Again, not counting the bonus tracks, because we'll get to that in a minute, but this is like the one time where I say not only are the bonus tracks like amazing, but kind of necessary to sort of inform the influences of the record. But for now, let's just talk about again how great of a closer A Farewell to Arms is.
Which, continuing kind of what Now I Lay Thee Down did with, it's not really a ballad, but it's really melodic, but it also just has this dark element going for it. Which, I mean, really, that's the only way you can tackle war, especially given how the war in Iraq was still going on at the time of the recording of this record. So it kind of is like the perfect way to have Machine Head still have their one foot with Burn My Eyes, yet not like completely just say, you know what, Burn My Eyes was like 10 plus years ago at this point. We're moving past it.
Yeah, this song definitely feels like like the most natural evolution for the band. And like you said earlier, the influences of prog and classic 80s thrash really have helped them kind of push themselves musically.
And that's what I love about this band, is just when they're able to actually push themselves. Well, especially we're talking about that with the next record, but man, even for just this album being almost exactly an hour in length, you never came away going like, maybe you could have cut that solo, maybe you could have cut that, or you never walk away saying that about the Blackening.
Nope.
Real question though, and I think we would both disagree drastically, but what would you say to somebody if they said that this album was overhyped? Because like beyond that, I think we both would fundamentally disagree with that, but like, I don't know how you would debunk that, or how you could say, how can you not love an album like this? That would be my question. I respond to that question with a question.
To answer your first question, how do you debunk someone saying this is overhyped? I basically just have to ask, well, when was the last time you listened to it? Because sure, we mentioned a couple of classics at the top of the show. We talked about Master of Puppets. We talked about The Number and the Beast, Screaming for Vengeance. You know, the more distance you have from like some of those giants in the genre, like it is easy to say like, oh yeah, these albums are overhyped because they've just been talked about to death. But when you actually sit down to listen to them, like the hype is there for a reason.
Plus, we're also 15 years removed from the Blackening being released. So at this point, all I have to say is, if you're not on the train for this record, I don't know if you'll ever be. But I mean, hey, I'm just happy it finally got re-released on vinyl last year, and I'm glad I got my splatter copy. So, you know, I'm gonna keep blasting this thing I'm going to blast this thing well into my 30s and my fucking 40s. Hell, I'll blast it well into my 50s, because the Blackening to me, again, it's not indicative of, it is part of the new wave of American heavy metal in its own way, but it's also just not derivative of Trivium or Killswitch or Unearth or God Forbid or Devil Driver. It's not derivative of Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, Testament, or Death Angel or Sepultura. It's, for me, the Blackening is just an encapsulation of how great metal is.
Yeah. that's really all you can say about this album. It just like it just is metal. It's not it's not trying to be something that it isn't. It's just metal.
And plus, also, you gotta also put this in context. Considering Machine Head were largely considered at their low point by like 2001, it's impressive how they just came back out of the gate and running and just kept running until, they basically just kept getting better and better, not just as like players, but as songwriters.
Exactly. I said that this album wasn't derivative, but we kind of have to talk about the bonus tracks, which are they are two covers, but there are two covers that really kind of inform the influences of the record. The first one is Hallowed Be Thy Name by Iron Maiden, which apparently is their most covered song. And then track number 10 is Battery by Metallica.
Can we talk about Battery? How about we talk about both the originals first and then the covers? Because I don't know if you know this, Mike, but Battery's my favorite Metallica song.
Yeah. I don't know if it's specifically my favorite, but it's at least in the top 5. I definitely think it's one of the best opening tracks of all time.
Oh, like this, the opening guitars, they don't sound like warm or gentle or inviting, but at the same time, like it's just the sound of proper heavy metal, and then that badass thrash riff kicks in. James Hetfield, he's not even so much growling or shouting, but he's not like, doing some melodic singing over this really heavy riff. It's just, wow, that is how metal should sound to me.
I think Battery is probably the perfect introduction to thrash. Like if someone is completely new to the genre, Battery is like the best way to be like, this is what thrash sounds like. This is how intense the drums can be. This is how fast the riffs can be played.
And how good the bass playing is. R.I.P. Cliff Burton.
Yep.
And then Hallowed Be Thy Name by Iron Maiden. Considering how covered this song is, yeah, maybe some people could argue throw it in the overplayed category, but I would still have to disagree because, again, Number of the Beast is just one of those. For me, it's a top tier Iron Maiden song, but it's also just like a top tier metal song. I guess we might as well just talk about how good both of these covers are, but let's start with Battery again and then end with Hallowed Be Thy Name. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Big hot take. I think that Battery should just go straight into Hallowed Be Thy Name and then just bam, that's your closer.
Yeah, I think the order of these two songs is kind of superfluous.
Yeah. Well,
but
that and they were both recorded for like 2 different Kerrang tribute compilations, I think. So
so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, they were recorded during that time period, and then the Battery cover wound up on Kerrang's Master of Puppets covers album with an amazing cover of Orion from Mastodon.
Ooh.
And then Hallowed Be Thy Name was on an Iron Maiden tribute album that came out in like 2008 with actually Metallica doing a cover of Remember Tomorrow, which beyond Metallica being my favorite band of all time, I argue that's better than the original.
hard to disagree, because I remember hearing that song or that cover for the first time and thinking, wow, the band still has it.
And as for to jump from Metallica back into Machine Head covering Metallica, yeah, you could argue that this is the band literally just playing the song note for note, but it almost really does feel like a Machine Head song in its own way, beyond the fact that they just down-tuned the instruments.
Yeah, I think it's the production that that gives the song like Machine Head's own style, and yet like it's still just the song from start to finish. I think they did they try to kind of emulate the guitar tone for like that intro, because it really does sound like as close to the intro as possible.
I don't know about the guitar tone, but I don't want to say anything like exact, but from what I'm aware, Phil Demmel actually had a tough time like really nailing Kirk Hammett's solo, so like that took a lot of like practicing to like really nail down perfectly. So yeah, when even Kirk Hammett can make one of the most underrated guitar heroes of the past like 20 years in Phil Demmel, when he can even write a challenging solo for him, you know, you have an amazing song as is, but then you have an equally amazing band covering that song.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, considering Battery's my favorite Metallica song, I would actually say I think Hallowed Be Thy Name might be the better cover.
I think I agree with that. Just like the way they just nailed this song again while making it their own is pretty impressive. Also, big props to Rob Flynn for matching Bruce Dickinson's intensity on the vocals.
Matching the intensity, but also not overshooting his range. Like that's my thing about the Hallowed Be Thy Name cover as opposed to Battery. Yeah, Hallowed Be Thy Name is them basically just playing the song note for note, but there's little flourishes that you kind of notice. Like certain riffs will be changed, certain drum patterns will be changed, especially the Mark My Words section. That's clearly Machine Head putting their own spin on that section and having Rob growl that part of the song. And yeah, I can't really think of a better cover to. I personally just have this close out the album as opposed to Battery, but yeah, this is just one of the. Actually, I'll ask you this, Mike. What's the best Hallowed Be Thy Name cover?
Ooh, that's actually a really tough question, because I would say probably this one, but
you can't discount the Cradle of Filth version either.
That's where I'm torn, because like the way to do this song justice, like short of just like playing the song straight, is you have to bring your own personality to the song, and Cradle of Filth Cradle of Filth understood that perfectly, but so too did Machine Head.
Yeah, and really that's why we had to talk about these two covers, just because they really inform the influences of the album. But you know, as opposed to what happened with Through the Ashes of Empires, of them inserting Seasons Wither into the middle of the track listing, it's kind of the perfect way of just going like, hey, if you like the 8 songs on the main album, you can listen to more great music. Which, why would you not want to listen to more great music?
Exactly. Or if you're just one of those weirdos who has to have an album that ends on a round number, then yeah, you get a little bit more bang for your buck.
Yeah, well, like what else can we say though? This album's, if you haven't heard The Blackening already, what the fuck have you been doing for almost 15, 20 years at this rate?
Seriously.
That's all I've got to say.
Yeah, I don't really know what else to say except go listen to this album. It is amazing. It is one of the best records of the past like 20 years. And I believe next time we are talking about one of your favorite records.
Oh yes, because that's the thing. We Before we really close this out, we got to kind of talk about their reaction and just kind of how long they decided to tour behind this album. Because yeah, Machine Head toured behind this thing for like 3 goddamn years.
That's that. Thinking about that compared to, again, the low of their career post Supercharger. If we didn't if we weren't intensely studying this band, it would feel like we're talking about like two completely different Machine Heads.
Which yeah, we kind of are, but I get what you mean. It's yeah, I didn't get to see them when they were touring behind The Blackening because I wasn't into the band in 2007 when it came out, and I had really just kind of heard their name floating around much more like around 2009 for me. So, and that I think they were touring with Slayer and Megadeth at that point, and just for whatever reason I just didn't end up going to that, unfortunately. But yeah, that I guess that just kind of is a testament to the longevity of it, just that people still wanted to keep going to see them live even if they were opening up for other bands at this point, whether it was Metallica or Slipknot or taking out bands like Hatebreed or Devil Driver or just any great band, really. I mean, the shit, I almost forgot the Blackened Crusade tour with Lamb of God, Dragon Force, Arch Enemy. I think they did like 2 different tours where it was still like Machine Head and Trivium, but it was Lamb of God and Gojira in North America, but then Europe got like Dragon Force and Arch Enemy.
Oh wow, that is a great lineup.
Oh, you don't see things like that anymore. But yeah, that's the other thing too, is just like the reaction to it is just for years after even I would hear it, that how are you going to top an album this good? And I guess I'll leave my thoughts for the next episode then.
All right. Well, until then, Nick, where can everyone find you online?
Super Saiyan Death Metal God on Instagram. Yeah, same thing as last time. Album covers, vinyl, movies, games. Just if you want to go shoot me a follow and binge like the page, go for it.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. Look for us on Podchaser. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Jukebox. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.